Hi humans, it's been a minute. I know, it's been a minute. What's been happening? What are you up to? What's been going on? I have a question for you. Well, I just asked a billion questions, but I have another question for you. Have you experienced loss? Well, I know that today many people have experienced loss, especially since we had that pretty intense hurricane come through here in Florida last week. But I want to talk about loss. Today is an important date for me personally, and it's in relation to having experienced some type of loss. And I just wanted to talk about that. I've been thinking about it a lot. And I think that when we think about loss, we automatically think about death. And we view loss as just the death of a person, someone we love, an animal that we care for, something of that sort. But I just been thinking about loss in general. And I think that one of the biggest loss that kind of affects us is not just the loss of someone or the loss of something, but I think one of the biggest loss that we carry with us, it's just even the loss of our expectations. Even if we have things that we really want them to happen a certain particular way, and when they don't happen that way, we kind of feel devastated by it, or we don't want to admit to it, or whatever the case may be. I will say that I have 2 babies in heaven that would have been born today. And that's what kind of started me thinking about loss. And I know that there's many people. I remember when I was going through that, I remember how so many people had words of comfort or encouragement, and they were just trying to encourage me to, like, think forward, think positive, think about the future, think about all these things. And I just wanted to be in the moment. I wanted to feel what I was feeling in the moment. And I think that maybe the people around me were just trying to be positive and encourage me for the future, and just kind of lift up my spirits and encourage me. And their intent was great. And I'm so happy. I'm happy for the people around me. But it made me think about it today. It made me think about the losses that we experience in our lives, that it doesn't necessarily have to mean a physical loss of sorts, but I think the loss of the idea of things, or the expectation of the way we expect things to turn out, and when they don't turn out how we want them to turn out, how sometimes that can really spiral us into a place of discouragement, a place of failure, a place of just you just kind of want to give up. You just feel like, I worked so hard to get here, I prepared so much, I've done so many things to get to this space, and for what? Didn't even happen. It didn't even happen the way that I wanted to. It didn't even happen a little bit, like it wasn't even remotely close to how I prepared for it to be. And that loss it's pretty significant. And I think that a lot of the times, because it's not necessarily fully gone, and by that I mean, let's say for example, what can I think of? Let's say you have a baby, and let's say your baby has some type of deficit, or maybe some type of delay, or your baby is born with some type of diagnosis or some type of condition. And you think about that, and here you have this baby, and then in between the baby and yourself, there is that diagnosis, there is that issue, that underlying struggle, and you're just sitting there like, you can't see past that to see the baby. And then there's that detachment of some sort, and it could be like I said, it could be the idea of a relationship. It could be, you planned and you worked so hard for this marriage, you've done all these things for your marriage. I mean, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, people say, oh, by year 7 you should have it down packed. By year 8 things are getting better, and you're like, what are you talking about? I'm in year 11, and it is still so difficult. When is it ever going to get better? And so your expectations seem to never get met. You get to this place where you're just like, you know what, it is what it is. I'm never going to be that. You study as much as you can study, and you never remember everything. You never are able to retain all the information. Or you go to church and you dedicate your life to the Lord. You do all these things for the Lord, and you're still stuck in a place where you're just like, well, what? Why should I even bother? Why should I even continue? And that can spiral into really, really, really dark places. And I just want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge that those dark places can definitely overcome us. And I think back of today, and 26 years ago today, I was in the hospital, and I remember a doctor that kind of was, handling the whole miscarriage and all the things that were happening, and I just remember looking up at the ceiling, and I guess I must have been praying out loud. To be honest, I don't remember all of it, but I do remember the doctor rolled over in the chair, because you know how the doctors have those little chairs and they kind of roll over. He rolled over to me and he asked me, "What are you doing?" And I was like, praying. I don't know, it's a vulnerable position, And then he was just like, "How can you be praying when you're losing a child at this moment?" And I was like, well, God has a reason and he has a purpose, and he gives and he takes away. And it's so interesting because if I look back and I think back at that exact moment, I was so young. I don't even recall having a good, sound relationship with the Lord. And yet I said to the doctor what I knew, that I should know and I should feel. And I genuinely believe I felt that at the moment. But it's just interesting that from then till now, from that moment that I was so positive and I was thinking, okay, it's going to get better, things are going to be okay no matter what's happening right now. And so much has happened in life. I've experienced so much loss and so much failures and so much setbacks that I can say that, there's times that, that darkness is tough. Those places where you can't get out of that because you feel some type of loss. And again, it doesn't have to be death. It could just be loss of drive, loss of motivation, loss of interest, whatever it is. And some of us are in situations where even though we feel we've lost a lot, even though we feel there's no hope in that situation, but it's easier to stay in that situation than to get out of that situation. And we feel so, like I said, that darkness is just so overwhelming. Just want to let you know that you're not alone in that space. And maybe you're alone in your space, but know that many of us, all of us, have a dark space, and all of us spiral into that place at some point or another. So I just kind of wanted to share a little encouragement and let you know, shoulders back, chin up, keep your head up. That darkness for us isn't really a dark space for God. So no matter how dark it gets for us, no matter how much we spiral into those darkness, no matter how much that darkness overwhelms us, know that it's not dark at all for God. It's never too far for God. It's never too unattainable. It's not. So if you have loss, if you're going through anything, if you've been through something, you want to talk about it, hey, let's talk about it. I'm here to listen. But I just wanted to share with you, loss for me has been pretty intense, and today, 26 years ago, was a huge day of loss. And my two little humans are in heaven right now, and I'm not sad, I'm not upset, but I just want to acknowledge it, want to be in the moment and say that though I lost physically, from then till now I've lost a lot in my mind, in my heart, many times that I've given up. Many things that I have given up. But I can say that in my darkness, I have to remember that it's never too dark for God. Darkness doesn't exist for God. So even if I spiral, even if you spiral into these dark places, know that you're never too far. You're never too far for God to come and be there for you. Your village is here for you. Have a beautiful day.